Hey there, I am with Ashley Ann Clark of Ashley Ann Clark, and we are going to chat today about her shop. So I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashley. I am a visual artist from Prince Edward Island, and I make mixed media drawings that are based on different animal life and different little pieces of nature.
Awesome, I love it. So how did you get started doing this?
These particular drawings kind of stemmed off of just a lot of experimenting with different materials. I did go to university for drawing and art education, so I went to Concordia in Montreal and studied drawing
Wow.
early on, but then didn't really get into like living full time as an artist until maybe like 5 years ago or so. So yeah, I created these pieces by just like playing around with different materials. I've always been really drawn to watercolor and ink, so that's what I use to do most of the details in my pieces. But I also mix in different natural materials, so I work with things like seaweed, different leaves or sand, and different kinds of branches and bark and stuff too.
So that's really cool. And I know like with your designs, like going into your shop, I can automatically tell that the island influences your designs with the foxes. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. And like a lot of the animals I do create are kind of North American animals, but I do also work with like animals from all around the world. Like these are some little lemurs. Um, but I am inspired by being here, mainly with like the materials I use. Like I'm collecting seaweed from the beaches here and different things from the forests. And I like to take that with me everywhere I go. Like wherever I'm making, I like to work with materials that are sourced in that area, just to kind of give it a connection to the land and to the wilderness.
so you have lived in some pretty cool spots. So that also influences your design. So tell us a little bit about where you have lived.
So yeah, when I was about 9 years old, my parents moved to Thailand, and I lived there for about 5 years growing up. And it was a really great experience. I have lots of great friends there, and was exposed to a lot of cool different art forms and different types of plant life and nature and animals. So like that definitely inspired me as a young kid, seeing all that stuff and being more aware of it whenever I came back to Canada too, kind of like appreciating what we have here on PEI as well, like from being away from it. So that was a cool aspect of living in another country growing up. But since then, I've lived in like Montreal. I lived in Norway for a little bit, and I taught English in South Korea for a year. And my mom's actually from the South, so I go down to Tennessee and Kentucky like every now and then.
Oh, I'm
But
very,
I've
very jealous.
actually, yeah, I've actually been on PEI for quite a while. I've been here maybe like 6 or 7 years straight now, so this is kind of my home base. But I'm currently also kind of living in Cape Breton with my boyfriend, so I guess I just have a traveling bug that will never leave me.
Oh, but like, so you're encompassing all kind of Atlantic Canada right now during COVID. So that's really interesting. We're focusing on Atlantic Canadians.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about Atlantic Canada then, where you have been everywhere, it seems?
I really love a lot of things about, the Maritimes. The community here is really strong and really close and supportive. Um, the wildlife reserves and like nature here is really rich. And I appreciate like the space that you can find here. Like you can go to the beach sometimes and be the only person there or in the woods. I notice like living in more densely populated places, that was kind of a rare thing to come across, is just to have a moment alone in places and spaces that are um, natural like that. So I really cherish that about the Maritimes. But yeah, I love the community here. Everybody is super supportive, and it's cool to see there's so many makers like in PEI alone that um, are always kind of teaching each other and finding their own way like at the same time.
Do you have a maker in particular that inspires you or you really look up to?
Um, I've been inspired by like a lot of different visual artists along the way. Like I really was inspired by the works of Andy Goldsworthy. He works with like leaves and natural colors that are formed in nature. He doesn't use any tools and stuff. And also Vic Munez is an artist that has an interesting take on materials. Like he works with things like peanut butter and jelly sometimes, but makes like a crazy portrait and takes a photo of it, and then it becomes a piece. Like, so I think those kind of types of working with material really inspired me early on. As for like local makers, I have a lot of favorites, but I'm wearing some earrings right now from Turquoise Trixie. She's an islander and she makes kind of natural jewelry line, which I guess is done with electroform. So it's a really
Okay.
cool process. And there's also an eyewear company on the island called Fellow Earthlings. They make really beautiful glasses, and I love their work. And their studio is super sweet. It's out in the country,
Oh,
but they have really nice products as well.
that's awesome. That's really neat. I'm gonna have to look those ones up.
Yeah.
So how long have you been selling on Etsy?
I started my shop in 2016, and it was kind of like a slow start. It was more or less to have an area to sell my work online to people who didn't live here or didn't have access to the stores that carry my work. But it's grown into more of a little shop now that I can kind of keep up with like keeping pieces in there. Um, each one of my pieces is like one of a kind. So I have to kind of make a specific stock just to kind of have online.
Your pieces are very, what you have online right now, they're very distinct. They're like, they're so calming and serene. I find I really, really love like going into your shop just feels so relaxing
Thank
and
you.
fun at the same time. Like I love it. Can you tell us about like a really cool customer experience that you've had selling on Etsy?
Yeah, well, like you said about the calming effect or the different playfulness, like that's something I really strive to do in my pieces is like create an emotion and a personality and like a individual in each piece. So I've had a lot of cool different interactions with people that are like there's a specific animal that means something to them or it reminds them of the specific memory they have, and people end up like not all the time but sometimes they'll really connect to a piece and open up to me about it and tell me these deep stories about their lives or about like their father who passed away or something like that, like a connection to someone from the past and how this animal like means something to them. So like I really enjoy those kind of interactions because when I'm making them, I kind of have a certain intention, but then when they go out into the world, like it's cool to see the different connections that people can make to them, like through their own experiences.
That's really great. Like that is really, really neat to think that that's someone that resonates so well with someone and they have such a connection to it. And it's like you've made it in your kind of corner of the earth and
Yeah.
it's all the way over there and so meaningful. I love that. What
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I forget what I was even gonna say.
I want to know what you think, why it's so important that we support our local makers.
Well, definitely in times like these, it's super important to be buying local and supporting people in your own community. I think it's kind of important to be conscious about what you're buying and where the materials are being sourced and what kind of actions you're supporting when you're buying certain things. So by buying local, you can like, there's usually more transparency on how the item's made, like where the materials are sourced from. So I think that that's like a really cool thing to encourage. And like just the lack of transportation that happens too when you buy things local, that's like a good environmental thing. And yeah, I think it's a cool way to support artists and makers in your community, to be able to achieve greater things. Like when they have the support like that, then they're able to do bigger projects. They're able to keep moving forward, you know?
That's so true. It's so true. And it's so important because those are kind of the driving forces in our communities. When we are supporting even the little guys, that's where the money's going back into most of the time. Tell us something really cool and interesting about you.
That's kind of a random one. I don't know. I am an artist at heart, but I do also like to do different sports and stuff. So I have snowboarded for a couple of years, and I teach snowboarding in the winter sometimes, and I like skimming in the summer. I used to play roller derby back in the day, but
Wow.
it got a little it got a little rough, and I had to stop, sadly. But I do miss it.
I've heard that is really, really intense.
Yeah, it was so fun, and all the women that were in it were amazing, and I really miss them. But like, yeah, I had to focus more on my art career and couldn't be injured all the time.
Yeah, that would be kind of a conflict of interest if you were going to break your arm, I guess. Where else can we find you? We're going to find your shop here today, but where can we find you on social media?
So I have my own website. It's just ashleyannclark.com. So that has kind of like a collection of all the different types of work I do. I also do some video work, and I do some design work, mainly for musicians for like album art, and single artwork. So that's all there on my website. And then I have an Instagram account that is also at _AshleyAnnClark.
Okay.
And that's where I post most of my like recent creations and what I'm up to. So if you want to follow along there, that'd be awesome. I also have some work. What's that?
We're gonna link that one. It's gonna play back behind the video, so that's awesome. So we'll make sure everyone gets that.
Awesome. Yeah, and then I have some work in a couple of different locations across the Maritimes. If you ever want to see them in person.
Exciting. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And we are so excited to shop with you at our virtual market.
Thanks so much for organizing it. It's kind of a cool experience. There's a bit of a learning curve to it, but it's good. It's promoting me to, work on my online presence a bit more.
Awesome. Well, no, I'm so excited to have you. All right. See you later.
Bye.